What was the best mistake you have ever made? Watching this guy painting a beach scene in a touristy area of my city. Nobody else was watching. I was just zoning out. It was relaxing. This girl walks up and I didn't even notice. And she goes, "Wow, that's beautiful." Just a joke as reflex, but I shot back, "You're beautiful." I immediately realized what I'd done and I turned to this gorgeous girl and she was blushing. I think we were both speechless for a second. We flirted for a couple minutes, but I was far too flustered from my duck up to ask her out. Which makes no sense in hindsight, but it was a great mistake. I tried to buy $10 of Bitcoin in 2005 but accidentally bought $100 and said, "Duck it. I'll keep it in there and see what happens." Fast forward to 2016 and my $100 of Bitcoin was worth $489. 723. Just kidding. That didn't happen. Probably the time I pocket dialed the pizza place and just went with it and ended up with a pizza. Deciding to take a paid internship. It was a total scam. I had to door knock on houses and then convince them to hire me to paint that house. My wife was working with the same company and we met at a Christmas party. When making a batch of oatmeal raisin cookies, I mistakenly used craisins instead of raisins. The cranberry flavor and texture turned out to be a big hit with everyone that tried the cookies. Helping my last girlfriend's brother make some money by paying him to watch my cat. She flipped out and ended up breaking up with me over it. Turns out, my relationship was pretty toxic and I couldn't see it because I was so in love. Still recovering from the toxicity. But I can see it as a positive now and I'm really looking forward to 2020 because of it. Hey. I thought this said biggest mistake and I was so pumped cause I had a great one. But nope. Thought really long and hard about this and had nothing until I read that one comment about them having a dog. So I'll say this. My roommate moved out and ditched her cat with me. Said she'd try putting her up for adoption and never did. And I couldn't handle doing it myself, so I kept her. So here we are. Never was supposed to have a cat. Never thought I ever could have a cat. And now this cat is quite possibly the only thing keeping me alive. Where would I be without her? Ending my first engagement. He was cheating on me with a woman named Kimberly. I started dating my now husband 6 months after the engagement ended. We have been married 26 years and have 2 children. Stealing booze from a store at 18. It kept me from joining the military. I tried. But there was a clause in my probation that I couldn't use a firearm. Worked out well. Never bothering to get my driver's license as a teenager. I went into the military with no state driver's license. And I was immune from having to do any driving duties. Staff and COs were always pissed about it. But it turned out awesome for me. Weirdly enough. Possibly taking 5 years to get my degree rather than 4. I figured I'd be out. Get a job with a place I interned and go from there. Instead, I ended up taking 5 years. Meaning I graduated right as the place I interned had a hiring freeze. Ended up finding a job only an hour or so from both my wife and I's parents. Which is great because she wanted to be close-ish to family. Had a forced job change. And then I moved to another company where I'm doing work I really enjoy. Bought a house in a great town. And am generally enjoying life more than I think I would have if I had ended up where I thought I was going to. This girl, A, was introducing me to her friend, B, at a restaurant. I thought nothing of it at the time. But later she, A, asked me what I thought of her friend, B, and my response was she's cool. I like her as in she's a cool person. I like her as a potential friend. Shortly after this conversation, she, A, went to her friend, B, and told her I liked her and wanted to date. I didn't have the heart to tell her, B, otherwise. So long story short, we have been married for 5 strong years. Making lasagna the quick and easy way by dumping a pouch of spaghetti seasoning in a tomato sauce. Ground beef, onion and peppers sauce spot. Only it wasn't spaghetti seasoning. It was taco seasoning. I knew it as soon as it went in the pot and I caught a whiff. I had everything else. The noodles. The cheese. The ricotta. What the hell is a lasagna going to taste like with a taco seasoning base? Well, I'll tell you. Heavenly. It was ducking delicious. And now I make it frequently. Not canceling my Match.com membership when I intended to. Ended up staying on for an extra month, and that's when my now wife of over a decade contacted me. There is probably no chance we ever would have met otherwise. She also gave me the motivation to ditch the shitty job I had at the time, general manager for a major pizza delivery chain. I now work about half the hours and make about 3x the money I did there. Sucking so bad at a job that I got fired. I hadn't gotten the shoe there, I wouldn't have had my last job, which made me miserable, but also brought me the only good things in my life. Briefly going to prison gave me a better perspective on life. I'm a lot more appreciative of things now. My friend's story. When she was 14, I was 12 at the time. She wrote a suicide note explaining why she was going to kill herself. It had a lot of swearing in it, which was unlike her. She went for her last walk around town and forgot to bring her note. Her parents obviously found it, and when she got home they had explained about seeing it and had decided to call a therapist for her. She is now 15. Still in therapy, but she is staying strong. Missing my learner's permit test. Over here in Australia this is for your car license when you're a teenager. Except if you miss it you have to pay a fee and rebook a new test. It caused me to meet my boyfriend of 9 months. And even though it was an expensive mistake, I would do it all over again. I don't know where I would be without him. I heard the story of this woman that played a long time Lotto with the exact same numbers every time. One day she made a mistake in those numbers and she won the prize. It all started when me and my brothers were swimming and started dying. I kinda wanted to die too, but then I bumped into an egg and 9 months later I was a baby. Last year I cheated on my girlfriend at a party. I was drunk and kissed another girl. She found out and broke up with me. I tried for 3 weeks to get her back, but she refused to come back with me. 3 months later I took the girl of my dreams out on a date and we've been together for the better part of a year now. I was with my ex for 5 years and I could say I never felt the way about her as I do my current girlfriend. I think back that I feel bad I hurt my ex by cheating, but now her and I are both extremely happy with where we are in lives. Forgot my charger at work. Turned around to get. If I said duck it and went home, I might have hit a drunk driver because there was an accident at home after I got my charger. Getting pregnant with my son. We had only been married 2 months. We were trying to avoid pregnancy. But it happened anyway, and we were 30 plus and not being stupid about it. Sometimes prevention doesn't work. Now I look at my 19-month-old and think it was the best thing ever. I was so scared at the time though. Staying with my ex-boyfriend for too long. Although I wanted to break up for a long time. We went to a party. He got drunk. I was annoyed and he kind of introduced me to a man we didn't know. Long story short, I broke up with my ex a few weeks later. Got in touch with a guy from the party, again by a happy coincidence. We didn't exchange numbers the first time because I was still in the relationship, and now we are together for nearly 8 years now and married in August this year. Waiting until the last minute to register for housing at the end of my freshman year in college. I could have registered like 3 days earlier but blew it off until the afternoon of the last day, and so there were like 2 places left. Through that idiocy, ended up meeting 3 of my 5 best friends, plus a lot of other really good friends. The last 2 of the 5 I met through friends I made that year. So my inability to do things in a timely manner led to meeting the entirety of my current friend group of about 8 to 10 years. Pooping in a puddle in front of a bunch of other 10-year-olds. For some reason that made me popular. Joining the military. Wasn't a serious mistake, but I joke that it is. I'm financing a car. Have my wife here. My animals. And I pay nothing for the house I'm in but bought. I'm also paying off my debts. I get paid 24/7, so paychecks are a guarantee. Buying what I call the heart attack pack at McDonald's. 100 chicken nuggets for $20 bucks. Me and my friend nearly died while walking there and back LMAO. The cashier was super ducking confused as well LMAO. Signing up for a class I didn't mean to sign up for. I was expecting the worst from it because my friend told me it was the worst class, because she took it last year, and the teacher was awful. I met some of the best people of my life in that class and had the best times there. I chose my first job as a dishwasher instead of a safer, more predictable one at a famous department store. Against the advice of basically everyone in my life. Loved it. Worked my way up until I became a line cook. And made some amazing friends along the way. Some of whom I consider family. I would not change a thing. When I clicked the wrong answer on a test and got it right, I got the best score I could get on that test. My middle school doesn't do Fs. It does A, B, C, D, E/I. Obviously. There's A, B, C, D. No A+. When I got my first tattoo, I eliminated a bunch of artists based on the deadline of my dad's wedding. My original one ghosted me, so it was a bit of a scramble to find a new one. I got a weird vibe from a place my almost artist recommended, but I saw another shop on my way back to the car. Walked in. Found a portfolio I loved. Dude was there that day and was cool enough to work on my timeline. Power went out after my outline was done, so I had to come back to finish it. In the meantime, I find out he was one of my sister's closest friends in high school. Neighbors with a friend I'd had since kindergarten. And one of my friends is good friends with his wife. I'm getting 2 more pieces from him early Feb and putting a deposit down on the next one probably at the same session. That really shouldn't have worked. A lot of good artists in my town have months-long wait lists. I had semi-difficult things I wanted done and I get compliments on it literally every day. It is viable for 10 minutes at a time. Also, the wedding ended up being postponed, or I would have gone with another artist initially, had a backup, but they couldn't fit me in by the time my original ghosted. Was on a family vacation as a socially awkward / low self-esteem teenager. Decided I wanted to go out. Met a few people and ended up having a great night. Had a few too many to drink though and ended up puking and passed out in my bathroom. The last part was well known by a lot of grandparents / family. Felt horrible about it. But the next day I ran into the people I was partying with and they remembered me and wanted to hang out with me for the next few days. Entirely changed how I felt about introducing myself to people, when sober, and that sometime people legitimately wanted to hang out and chill with me. To this day it's changed my outlook on people and that not everyone is out to hate me. Going up to talk to a girl I had been interested in at junior college. But it ended up being a different girl than I thought, who looked similar from behind. We've been together for 32 years now. I told my current boyfriend I liked him. I was terrified to tell him, but he then admitted he liked me too. I was scared of ruining our friendship, but to this day I will never regret that decision. We have been dating for a year. Not dyeing / bleaching my hair and not succumbing to peer pressure. My friends were pressuring me to do this since I was 13. I kept on saying no. I'm 20 now and one of my friend has a thinning scalp. Another friend was having major hair loss and had a burned scalp.